Hello, family. How's everyone doing today? I hope everyone is doing well today. Let's talk about it, family, because Brandon Johnson sashayed on the stage during Juneteenth ceremony that he had, and he was talking about reparations. And the things he said was unbelievable. Y'all already know we have to talk about Brandon Johnson's speech about reparations. Yeah. And we want to talk about the Diddy copycat number 2, who came all the way down to the Gulf Coast and stunk up the joint. Yes. I was like, what? A copycat of the Diddy? Oh, you know we have to talk about this, family. And Diddy homeboy, the supplier, was on the stand. Oh, he was spilling all type of Kool-Aid. And we're going to talk about that too as well, family. So y'all already know what we have to do for the ones in the back. This video is under fair use. Copyright disclaimer under Section 107 of Copyrights Acts in 1976. Allowance is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comment, news reporting, teaching, scholarship, and research. Fair use is a use permitted by copyright statute that might otherwise be infringing. Non-profit, educational, and personal use tips the balance in favor of fair use. Yes, fair use. All rights and credits go directly to its rightful owner. This video is purely for fair use, opinion, and entertainment. Enjoy. And we also want to add that everything in this video is alleged. Yes. And I want to give a shout out to everyone. Shout out to the moderators, awesome moderators, always on top of things. I appreciate that. Sending love to you all. Shout out to the chat. The chat always be on fire. I have me rolling in that chat. I be putting laughing emojis and a chair emoji, meaning y'all have me falling out the chair. Just thank y'all so much for your support. Thank you to our viewers as well. Thank you to our replay gang. I appreciate it all. Thank you to the comment section, because y'all write a lot of good comments in the comment section. I appreciate it. Thank you all for your support. Please hit the like button. Please subscribe to the channel if you are not a subscriber already. It's greatly, greatly appreciated. And it's free too. I promise you it's free. Let's get down to it, family. About Brandon Johnson. Yes. He did Juneteenth ceremony this week. And he started talking about reparations. He had the nerve to go to that podium with that terrible S-girl that clearly needed more oil, sheen, and spray. And that wop-sided rooster haircut that looked like I-65 lineup. I'm talking about we got to do better. Yes. That haircut alone proves that he deserted the black Americans in Chicago. That haircut clearly proves it. Yes, because if he hadn't deserted the black American community, he could have went and got a haircut that would have looked somewhat about something. Because this right here ain't it. I could tell you that. I said, why is he keep wearing this rooster haircut? And the lineup looked like it's I-65. What? Anyway, family, Brandon fixed his mouth to gaslight reparations in his speech. I'm tripping. Why is he starting to use reparations in his speech to gaslight the people? He had so much time to talk about this. But no, Brandon waited until now to start talking about reparations. Yeah, he used to talk about it before, but he wanted to make it a point to talk about it Juneteenth. Reparations, yes. Is it that he need help from some of the black Americans in Chicago now? Is it because he need votes? Or is it because he done fell in that Trump quicksand with the ICE? He done fell in Trump quicksand and ICE quicksand. And all of a sudden, he knocking. Hey, y'all, my Chicagoans, black Americans, we're gonna have reparations. What? No, don't come a knocking when ICE is on that rump. Don't come a knocking when Trump is on that rump. Yes, because from what we have seen, the black Americans over there in Chicago has been clearly ignored for a long time. Mr. Brandon. Yes. And then you done fell in that DOJ quicksand here a couple of weeks ago. They investigating him for doing a speech in a church. I told y'all about playing in that church. And see, the higher power flipped him off in that quicksand when he was running his mouth in that church. Talking about how he hired black Americans. We can't tell because the black Americans in Chicago are still suffering and whining and crying because we hear it every day. But anyway, he done got on that stand and that podium and talking mess on the Juneteenth, his ceremony. It seems like Brandon is feeling the heat. Now here come Brandon, bad haircut Brandon, with his janky speech about reparations to the black Americans in Chicago. Let's hear what he had to say, family. I was flabbergasted when I heard him talk about this. Now check it out, family. Now I'm going to let it play, but you know I have to stop it doing commentary, but I'm going to try to let most of it play, and then I go back and say what I feel about some of the things Brandon here has said, okay? First of all, he should have did a speech about the barbershop, how to go get a correct haircut from the black American community. Because that haircut, that rooster haircut, is not it. That went out with the bump. Now listen to him.
Juneteenth holds great historic relevance and significance here in Chicago. But it is also significant for our entire country because it offers us an opportunity to reflect on where we've come from, but more importantly, where we're headed. We often talk about being descendants of slaves. But the truth is, we are descendants of free men and women who are enslaved. We are the descendants of artists and doctors and leaders and engineers, intellectuals, farmers, workers, mothers and fathers, people who were put in chains and forced to struggle for our collective freedom.
Listen, family.
Juneteenth is a holiday to celebrate those who were free. That's not entirely accurate either. As W.E.B. Du Bois taught us, as enslaved people, we fought to free ourselves. So this is just as much of a recognition as we honor our collective struggle.
Okay, first of all, Mr. Brandon said, in his little speech that he was one of the first to mention reparations. And I want y'all to listen to that.
Juneteenth is a reminder that freedom is a constant struggle. The second that we stop fighting for it, we will lose it. During the first year of my administration, I made it very clear, made a promise to drive reparations and become the first mayor in the city of Chicago to actually dedicate funding to that endeavor.
What? Now, first of all, Mr. Brandon said he was the first mayor to promise to put money towards reparations. Well, Mr. Brandon, being the first one talk about it and the first one that do it are two different things. That's not proactive, sir. No, it's not. Talking about it is one thing. Doing it is another thing. And your rump done had 2 years up in there to do it. And you haven't done it yet. Not that we have seen. You didn't break out no receipts to show us. Anyway, listen to the I-65 haircut line.
Reparations is not just an acknowledgement of our past. Reparations is an acknowledgement of the past sins and how it's more important now than ever that we continue to fight for complete liberation. When we see the sins of the past and the messages of slavery still seep its way through our economy.
Now, you know what? Brandon was sitting up here selling a nothing Subway sandwich, okay? Nothing in the Subway sandwich. Oh, nothing but the bread. And it was about molded, okay? He done sold people a nothing sandwich. Basically, that's what this is. People love to talk and sell nothing sandwiches. But he didn't break out no receipts, not one, regarding these reparation funds. And he been the mayor ever since 2023. What? What? Listen to Brandon. He ain't through, family. Listen.
Because diversity is truly our strength. Unity is the most powerful weapon in the face of hate and division. And that's why I was proud to have signed the Executive Order 2024-1, establishing a reparations task force to develop a Black reparations agenda.
Brandon said he has created a reparations task force to make sure that the Black Americans get reparations. Where's the receipts at, Brandon? Where is the receipts at about all this reparations that you signed an executive order for it and all this? Where is that? We ain't seen it. He keep talking about it, but then he giving the money to the illegal immigrants. Oh, he done gave millions and millions and millions to them since he been in there in 2023. Since 2023 now, he has forked out so much money to illegal people. Not the residents he talking about now. Why he got to bring this up now? I mean, he had talked about it before he touched on it. But now, on Juneteenth, he wants to bring it to the forefront because he knew the world was watching. And he wanted everybody to know that he has signed an executive order for reparations. Well, why you just didn't get him some money when you was forking out all the millions to the illegal immigrants that's housed over there in Chicago? I mean, I'm just asking a question. We would just like to know. Yeah, inquiring minds would like to know. Okay? Listen to him. He ain't through. Listen. And it's killing me that the people are clapping. Them must be his administration and his family. I'm just asking a question. Them people was clapping like they already got the money. If anybody should be clapping, it's the illegal immigrants, because they the one that got over $300 million. They got theirs. He talking about giving the Black American citizens theirs in Chicago. But the thing is, he really is emphasizing it this time because he getting them knocks and kicks at the door from Trump and ICE. That's what it's giving. I'm sorry. People love to play with our intelligence. Anyway, listen.
Responsible for
Okay, but see, my thing is, he said he will name the people who are on this reparations task force by next week. But we find it quite strange. I didn't never hear him name the people who was on the task force for giving out $300 million to the immigrants. See, they didn't have to wait on Brandon to name people for the task force. They didn't hear much talking about what Brandon was going to do for them. He just did it. It was no lollygagging around. It was no shucking and jiving when it came to giving them $300 million. It was no shucking and jiving. He didn't even have to go do a speech on that. He just did it. But here is giving, selling the okie doke, that janky speech. I'm just trying to figure out, with $300 million, why didn't he just split some of that for some of the Black Americans in Chicago in his reparations? I'm just trying to figure out. $150 million for the illegal immigrants and $150 million for the Black Americans in Chicago. Why he didn't do that? Why he didn't do that? Yeah. Sounds like a reparation bait and switch move to me. That's my opinion. I got a right to my opinion.
When we talk about reparations, we are not talking about something that is far off in the distant future. There is work we can do today to repair the harms of the past and build a better future for posterity.
What?
We know that historic disinvestment by government and private sector has left so many of our communities, particularly the South and West Side neighborhoods, without control of the assets in our own communities, excluding us from wealth building and opportunities. And that is why today, in collaboration with the Department of Planning and Development, under the leadership of Commissioner Sierra Goldbright, we are proud to announce a historic $4 million investment into community wealth building in the greatest city in the world, the city of Chicago.
I stopped. He said he gonna invest $4 million. And they clapped. I'm just saying. He said, I'm so glad to say, he act like that was a big number. $4 million compared to $300 million he gave to illegal immigrants who really are not supposed to be in Chicago. Not supposed to be. Oh, it's illegal. Okay, so my thing is, he was talking like $400 million was a lot that he's going to invest into reparations, but then you're not going to get it in your hand. What he is saying is that he's going to put it inside of building the urban communities back up and, putting more infrastructure down, putting more businesses down. Why haven't he done that already, though? He been the mayor for ever since 2023. That's what I'm saying. You see how low of a number that is? He said $4 million. He's putting in it. But he put $300 million for illegals. Let that sink in. But he cheesing, sninning, and grinning like that $4 million is supposed to. Oh, yeah. And the sad part, it was some people out there doing that. It's just my opinion. Trying to bait and switch the people like they getting something. That ain't. What? The whole speech was given reparation bait and trick. Brandon and others are so used to selling nothing sandwiches to the Black American people, and the Black American people seems to fall for it every time. You heard those people out there clapping. I think those were some of his people. But they sell nothing sandwiches, and then the Black American people will fall for it. And then after they fall for it and give these people what they want, after these people have dogged them, ignored them, gave other people a big bank while leaving them in hardship and oppression. Unbelievable. They be used and abused and neglected. And then the black Americans are the ones who receive the bulk of that hardship and oppression. And it's been that way for centuries in Chicago. But some illegals can come in and get it right off jump. Right off jump. No question asked. And that speech was supposed to make black Americans jump up and tap dance and do the electric slide. You missed me with that one. But anyway, that was his speech on the reparations. And I'm trying to figure out, how is Mr. Brandon going to give out reparations to black Americans in Chicago, or put it in a fund, or he's talking about putting it in a grant and all that type of stuff? Like, they're not going to get it in their hand. He's talking about grants and, putting the funds up for building some stuff and things like that. But my point is, how is he going to be able to do that when he gave the illegals the $300 million and he's in debt? $1.1 billion. Chicago is in a deficit. So how you going to do something for somebody and you broke? I'm just asking the question. I just need for him or somebody to answer that question. How are you supposed to share something or give somebody something and you ain't got nothing? You 1.1 billion in a hole, in a deficit. And Brandon sitting up here on this stage trying to play on the people tops. That's what it's giving. Play on their intelligence. That's what it's giving. Yes. It's given that he's bringing this up because he in a whole lot of hot water with ICE, with the DOJs, and with Trump. So, who do they call on to try to get him out of trouble? Help him with the fight against what they feeling the heat over. Black Americans. And we tired of it. Yes, we are. Our feet, mind, body, and soul is tired of running and stomping for others while we get dunked on. Point blank, period. That's just the bottom line. I'm sorry. I can't keep sugarcoating that. No. He got ICE problems. He got Trump problems. He got DOJ problems. And all of a sudden, he's sashay up there talking about some reparations. And then, that ain't before a meal. His old buddy spend 4 meal in hot dogs. Yeah, I know who I'm talking about. That's chump change compared to what they gave the illegal immigrants over there. Trying to pull a okie doke. That's what it's giving. But see, that's why Brandon should have invested in that money. That $300 million. He should have took half of it and invested back into the black American communities. He had it in his hand. It's obvious he did because he spent it out. If he had to invest in it, maybe he would have got some investment back. But you don't invest in them at all and then go up there and sell a nothing sandwich. And then the nothing sandwich that you do sell, you only hold up your hand for 4 meals. Okay. He done gave money to everybody else. Isn't that a kicker? Mayor Johnson announced $4.11 million investment into community wealth building for the black community. $4 million. Tiffany done spent that on herself down there in the village. Yes. She done spent that on herself. What is you saying? That's an insult, in my opinion. He talking about giving the black Americans $4 million. But look who got $300 million. Yes, $300 million on the migrants crisis. Since 2022, the city has spent on migrants' aid as exceeding $310 million. Yes, a significant portion of this spending, approximately $206 million, went in favor of healthcare staffing, a company that provides staffing for immigrant shelter. Other major expenditures include $45 million in equitable social solutions and $23 million in their little kitchen for the migrants. The new arrival mission data from the city indicates that 90% of the spending has been directed towards these three vendors. In total, Chicago has spent $299 million since 2022, with $215 million of that occurring since Mayor Brandon took office in 2023. So, he been in there since 2023, and he forked out on his term $215 million. But he said he go give the black Americans $4 million. What an insult, in my opinion. Wow. He had plenty of time to give these people, black Americans in Chicago, money for housing, shelter, everything that you see on the screen that he gave to illegals, he could have gave to the people who've been busting their back in that city for decades, centuries. But he didn't. He didn't think about them. Until, bam, ICE, put your hands up, ICE, put your hands up, yeah. Then all of a sudden, he sashay up there on the podium. Then he heard another knock. Trump, open this door. I'm finna kick the doors down. We finna clean all this up. Then he heard another knock. DOJ, we don't like that statement you made in that church, so we finna investigate you. Now Brandon want to knock on black Americans' door. Hey, y'all, I'm going to do reparations for y'all. I'm going to build y'all infrastructure in y'all urban communities. And I'm going to make sure y'all straight. And I'm going to make sure that y'all get the opportunities that y'all should have had. Because our ancestors and slaves, they done been through a lot. So I'm thinking about y'all. And I know I gave the illegals $300 million. But I promise you, I'm going to give you $4 million. What? Are you serious right now? If you don't get your rooster haircut up off that stage talking to us with that bad trim, that bad I-65 trim, talking about some $4 million. Look at this haircut. Why do you not have any black American friends or buddies? Because the haircut says no. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. You know, I mean, it's just a suggestion, man. Make your way down there. Probably don't want to go down there because they know how they've been treated. And these people done got all this money, but then you hear some citizens of Chicago saying that their properties done been seized, that their properties have been taken. They can't afford the high property tax that keep getting increased every year because he's taking that money and giving it to the illegals. Make it make sense. Please make it make sense. But then when them folks came a knocking and kicking down Chicago doors, ICE, all of a sudden he want to try to get some act right and talk about reparations. Are you serious right now? But Brandon, we do need for you to stop playing in the people face. We really do. We need you to stop playing in the people face. That's what it's giving. I'm sorry. That's what it's giving. Playing on the intelligence. You know? And then you got right here that his budget has jumped to $6 billion. And then, on top of that, he is $1 billion in deficit. As you see here, he is $1 billion in deficit in 2025 in Chicago. But he say he got $4 million. Now he want to throw chump change to the black community because he done spent a whole lot of money and in a deficit. What? As y'all will see, that he's projected to have a budget shortfall of $1.1 billion. Yeah. Yeah. But he sashayed up on that stage with that mess. Yes, he did. And it's given that Brandon talking about giving those black Americans money through grants and all that stuff, because he most likely want them to come out and march against ICE for him. No. See, where you invest your money at is who's supposed to be stomping. And they out there, I guess, doing that. Yeah, they out there protesting or whatever, but those are the right people that's supposed to be doing that because they got some investments into them. So, yeah, they supposed to be out there. They ain't supposed to be out there destroying nothing now. But if you looking for somebody, you looking at the wrong people. I'm sorry. No. No. We won't be able to do it. We've been marching for over 200 years, and it's time to rest our feet, mind, body, and soul, like I said. Everybody looking for black Americans. Why? Ain't nobody calling on no other community but black Americans to come out there and march. No. Y'all got to catch up to us. We the ones been marching for over 200-something years with blisters and corns and everything else on our feet. And then we have marched and stomped for other people, but we don't seem to get that same energy back. So it's time to sit down. And another thing, y'all stop spending money in these places that follow y'all all over the store, follow y'all all over the aisles, and being rude to y'all and all that stuff, treating you like you the bottom of the barrel. They giving you bottom of the barrel service. And y'all still running y'all tails up in these type stores. Let me talk to these people. Let me talk to some of my black American people. Y'all stop running in these stores knowing that they rude. Knowing that they don't like you. Knowing they gonna follow you up and down each aisle. Knowing that they watching every step you make, then frowning. Won't say hello, won't say goodbye, won't say thank you for coming, won't say none of that. Just take your money and treat you like crap. And then you go right back to that same old store. Why? See, it's some of those type that makes it hard for us If you're not giving friendly customer service, if you're not giving a warm welcome, hi, how you doing today? You're doing fine today, ma'am? Yeah, I'm doing fine, thank you. Okay, if you need anything, please let me know. Okay, I sure will. That's who you spend your money with. Some of y'all will walk right in the door and them people will follow you everywhere. They basically calling you a low-class thief. And y'all will still get him your $100. Y'all better start knowing how to turn around with your $50, $100, $1,000 and walk clean up out that door. Just like you walked in there with that $100 ready to spend it, when you start feeling like they treating you like you bottom of the barrel, take that 100, put it back in your pocket and go somewhere else to someone who appreciates it. Yeah, I just had to get that out because I've been seeing that a lot. But anyway, Brandon went up there and sashayed talking about some reparations. And he was shucking and jiving and pulling the okie doke and the wool. That's what it was giving. I'm sorry. You know, I have a right to my opinion. Move on. Yes, I have a right to my opinion. Ryan Hinton. Y'all know about Ryan, okay? Ryan was the young man who was piled by the officer. And then when his father, over here on the right, seen the body cam, he got very upset. And he got in his car. And then it was an innocent police officer who was directing traffic. He, hit him. And things went all wrong. But they did look into Ryan's case here the other day before yesterday. And the prosecutor said the officer will have no charges who pop out Ryan. Okay? The prosecutor said, there won't be no charges for that officer. And that they felt like the officer is justified in what he did. Okay? That's what she said. And so it was real heartbreaking to hear. And they didn't even take it to a grand jury. The prosecutor, her name is Connie, decided on her own to decline taking Ryan's case to a grand jury. She just stopped it with her. Okay? So, as y'all will see, prosecutors said officer was legally justified in the pop out of Ryan Hinton. Okay? Family plans a lawsuit. I don't know what the lawsuit gonna be against. They didn't say if it's gonna be a lawsuit against the officer or just the state in general or both. Okay? Don't know. But that's what the prosecutor said. And the prosecutor, Connie, has also said that the officer who piled Ryan after a stolen car investigation was legally justified to do so, declining to go to a grand jury. And this was Ryan's people out there, and they just said they was devastated to hear the news that the prosecutor said no charges for that officer, and she still won't give the officer name. She just keep calling him like Exhibit A or something like that, but she still won't release his name. Okay, now the lawyer of Ryan said that he do know the officer's name. Okay, this is the lawyer right here. He said he do know the officer's name, but he will not disclose the officer's name either. But he can say that the officer has had some complaints before. Okay, and so as y'all will see, it says Hinton, 18, was, piled a Cincinnati police officer by a Cincinnati police officer May 1st. Okay, and on the 17th of this month, June 17th, the prosecutor held a conference. And she said that that police officer will not be getting any charges because Ryan was armed with the Glock 40 caliber handgun with a extended magazine. The officer who piled Ryan believed the weapon was pointed at him. The prosecutor said, "We didn't see that. We watched that video very closely. We just didn't see none of that stuff homegirl is talking about." Okay. And the prosecutor just said that she declined to give any information. Now check this out. The prosecutor cited a law meant to protect victims of crime, declined to identify the officer, instead referring him as Officer A. So she is saying that she's going to use the law that is made for victims of a crime and seal the officer's identity. But the last time I checked, I don't remember the officer being a victim of a crime. See, this is what I'm saying about you have to watch certain words that a person say, family. And sometimes it'll go right over your head and you might have to go back and read it again. And sometimes we'll miss some things. I mean, it's like that with TV. I do it all the time. Sometimes you'll watch a show, but then when you go back and watch it again, you catch some things that you didn't catch in the first time you watched it. And in this case, she clearly has that she cited a law meant to protect victims of a crime. And that law says if a person is a victim of a crime, they have the right for their identity to be sealed. Like, you can't say who they are. Well, she used that for the officer, even though the officer is not a victim of a crime. He's not. He's the one that did the pow-pow. He don't have a wound on him from no type of weapon that Ryan discharged or none of that. Wow. But anyway. The lawyer, whose name is Rucker, he said, Ryan Hinton's lawyer, he said that the prosecutor should have taken this case to a grand jury to decide. Right. And he said that, he also said an independent agency should have been brought in to investigate the case. And he also said that the office has uncovered the identity of the officer who piled Ryan, and I told y'all that. He said he knows, and that officer has had complaints before, is what he said. He has citizen complaints before. So, but my thing is, and the prosecutor said that her office and the city of Cincinnati have the resources to properly investigate a police pow-pow and decide whether to prosecute them. She said that they have been doing this for a long time, okay? She says most of the time they take care of their cases within. They don't consider a grand jury for real. They feel like they don't need to use a grand jury. That most of the time they can handle it within the prosecutor's office. But my thing is, why are police involved pow-pows limited to the prosecutor's office? Why, why is every time they have a pow-pow case, it stops at the prosecutor's office and they rarely sends it to a grand jury? Why is that? I'm just asking the question, why is that? They decline grand juries the majority of the time. And I feel like that's something that the Ohio, Cincinnati residents need to push to change. Legally, they should push to change that legally. Because for some reason, everything that involves a police discrepancy, the prosecutors have stopped it at their office and never well, they ain't gonna say never, but they rarely push it to a grand jury. Why is that? That's a red flag and questionable within itself. Yeah, it really is. It really is. That's a red flag in itself. You know, and I would just like to know, because she clearly said that a lot of her cases has stopped. She said she has made the decision before to not bring them to a grand jury, but left the door open to doing so with other pow-pows in the future. Why is that? I'm just asking a question. Why is that? I mean, that's something that the citizens need to fight to change. I mean, that's just my opinion, you know. It really does. So, rest in peace, Ryan. And we hope to hear more about the lawyer. What type of lawsuit is he planning on filing? Is it going to be against the police officer, or is it going to be against the state and the police officer? We'll find out. But, you know, that's just sad to know that, you know, the prosecutor said that what the police did was justified. So that case is closed. And they will not push it to a grand jury. And I just felt like, why not? Like, let the grand jury decide. If the grand jury see and hear all the evidence, and if they decide, nah, I don't think this needs to go to the grand jury, so be it. But at least give a grand jury the option to say if they agree with pushing this case to a trial or don't agree to push this case to a trial. Instead, it all stops at the prosecutor's office. Wow. Okay, next. Wendy Williams. Kevin Hunter done went and filed a lawsuit for Wendy Williams, saying that her guardianship that's over Wendy is taking over and not letting Wendy have her freedom, and that he is suing on Wendy's behalf to get some act right so Wendy can get a hold to her money. Now, it's given that Kevin is sitting on broke mode. That's what it's given to me. And he putting 3 quarts of oil in his raggedy car every 2 days. That's what this is given. And that his gold digger chick that left him when Wendy stopped the money, and their bank account went dry. It's given that Kevin is trying hard to get his hands on some type of money, and he in desperate mode because he used to Wendy paving the way for him. And that well went dry. So now all of a sudden, he's coming up and he has filed a lawsuit stating that he wants $250 million on Wendy's behalf because she's not being treated right at the facility. Now, I do agree with what he said, that because I kind of feel like Wendy is not being treated right at that facility, and that the guardianships that she have is somewhat shaky and flaky. Something don't feel right. And so I do feel that. But I feel that Wendy's son, she have a grown son. I feel like Wendy's son should be filing a lawsuit if it's one to be filed. Not no Kevin. No. Not no Kevin. Because Kevin have put Wendy through pure D hell. Yes, he have. Now he eating on cheese, crackers, and sardine sandwiches, watching TV that can only pick up PBS. And now all of a sudden, He want to run to Wendy's rescue on her behalf. No, 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 no. What? Why? Why, Kevin? Kevin Jr. should be doing that on his mother's behalf, not you. Boy, vultures. Now, Wendy clearly has a son that's 24 years old, little Kevin Jr. He should be doing this. Wendy is no longer married to Kevin. She has divorced him. And I'm trying to figure out, how did he get the spunk or could be so bold to file a lawsuit on Wendy's behalf, and he ain't even her husband. He just done bypassed the son. Why he didn't go to the son, his son, and say, hey, look here, son, file something on your mother's behalf because, you know, we can clearly see something's not right. But no, he don't want the son to do it. This is what it's given. This is just my scenario, because then the son will be in control of it, not the daddy, not Kevin. Something smells like skunk meat with Kevin Sr. But I think Wendy's son should do this. I just don't trust nothing about Kevin. I really don't. Not the way he did Tiffany. I mean, damn, I'm saying Tiffany. Tiffany must be finna go to jail, y'all. I sure hope so. I sure hope I talked that up. But anyway, I don't trust nothing about Kevin. Not the way he did with his trifling demonic ways. He put Wendy through heartache. He put her through so much. And Wendy continued to let him do what he wanted to do. And she put up with it, and she put up with it until she ran herself in the ground trying to please Kevin. She has given him 3 times the amount he has given her. Now, granted, he did keep up Wendy Williams show. He did make sure that the Williams show was running good. But he was also a toxic person for Wendy. And then when she finally left him alone, he got some money out of his little divorce or whatever. But the thing is, okay, everything you did for Wendy, she gave it back to you 3 times fold. And you still running with your hands out, still trying to get money, even with her not feeling so well right now. Let's put it that way. Because she's clearly in a facility. And he's still running, trying to find some type of way to snatch something out of Wendy's fortune. Wow. 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 And she did so much to Kevin and for Kevin. She did. And he boo-booed all over her with his side piece and his bullying attitude. He basically threw Wendy to the wolves to get eaten. Because think about it. If he hadn't never dogged this woman and just stayed with her, because I really wasn't hearing nothing. We really wasn't hearing nothing about Wendy playing around. They caught Wendy with this person, that person, or her man piece on the side. You really never heard anything. All we seen was Wendy work. Kevin was the one out there playing, shucking and jiving with a side piece. Got the side piece pregnant. Flaunting the side piece around on beaches and stuff and all that. And Wendy was being embarrassed. And then she started falling out on her show. And then she looked like she was losing weight. And she was just started drinking and just going through so much. He basically threw her to the wolves for a side piece. And soon as that money stopped coming in and Wendy divorced him, and he didn't have no more money coming in, the side piece jetted on him. jetted on him. And now she requesting that he pay her for the child she has. So he most likely is in debt paying child support. This is just my scenario. This is what it's given. Now he trying to find some type of way to get him and his side piece back up on their feet so he can get the side piece back. Because he damn sure don't want Wendy back. But he won't to just stick his foot in the door enough to file a lawsuit worth $250 million for Wendy. And if he win, he could tell Wendy, I want half of that. Or damn near all of it. What? That's what it's given. But I really wish her son would be more demanding and more vocal on helping get his mother's situation right. And maybe he is, and he's just doing it quietly without a whole lot of media attention. But you'll see Wendy's ex-husband sues her guardian and the judge over her situation. And he's suing for $250 million on her behalf. Okay? Wendy Williams' ex-husband, Kevin Hunter, taking legal action against the facilitators of her years-long guardianship. And according to the documents obtained by people, Hunter filed a lawsuit, which he claims on her behalf, demanding a jury trial on Tuesday, June 17th, which named 48 defendants. So he got 48 people named in this lawsuit. They said he got the judge on this lawsuit, the judge that keep ruling that Wendy need to stay in the facility. He got that judge on the lawsuit. He got all the guardians that's supposed to be over Wendy in the lawsuit. He got Wells Fargo's in the lawsuits right here on the bottom. And he got the facility on the lawsuit and several lawyers on the lawsuit. He got about 48 people on this lawsuit. I guess Kevin said, if I don't get one, I get two. If I can't get two, at least I get one. He got 48. Unbelievable. And then, what got me is, he said that him and his lawyer, which his lawyer is LaShawn Thomas. And I think that LaShawn Thomas was in the mix with Kevin when Wendy was filing for that divorce. And I think this same LaShawn, I'm not for sure, but it seems like that name. But it just seemed like that name is coming up, and Wendy wasn't too fond of this young lady either. But my thing is, his lawyer said to Peoples that Wendy is not legally aware of all of the evidence that support our claim. For that, she should not be forced to suffer from this guardianship. That's what they say. Okay. But see, when you say in there that Wendy is not legally aware of all the evidence that support our claim, means to me that you ain't legally told her. What is going on here? I smell skunk meat. When you said, well, she's not really aware of this. Legally aware. Yeah. And you know, they do say here that guardianship in a civil deletion in New York, more than 28,000 adults, which includes Williams, are being, done wrong and neglected and defrauded under the care of court-appointed guardians. Okay? So Kevin is suing for $250 million. Now, Wendy said yesterday she had no idea her ex-husband was filing a lawsuit in her name. And she said he's a money grabber. And she said, oh, no, 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 no. He's a money grabber, and I don't know why he did that. I'm not a part of this. And she don't want this at all. Now, this is what they said, Wendy said. We don't know if Wendy said it or did the guardianship that's over Wendy said this for Wendy. We don't know. But I would love to hear Wendy say it herself. I have seen where Wendy was standing in the window of a facility in New York City, and she was waving, and she did a couple of phone interviews. Sound like she was getting back to her right self. You know, she was saying, I don't like this facility. I don't need to be in here. You know, I'm just not feeling this. And I am capable enough to be on my own. And so I'm going to keep fighting to get up out of here and get rid of these guardians. So I do remember her saying that in a couple of interviews about 4 or 5 months ago. But I would like to hear from her on this as well, so we can hear it out of her own mouth. So I don't know if Wendy is saying this or did the guardian write this for Wendy. But I agree, because I was wondering why Kevin did that. But I just really do feel like Wendy's son should demand and be vocal more and push to fight more on his mother's behalf. And like I said, maybe he is doing it. He's just doing it in silence. I don't know. But it would be nice for the public who really like Wendy just to hear her son say, I got this. My mom's going to be okay. That's it. We would really like to hear at least something. Because I'm not liking the fact that Kevin Hunter felt like he can just come on in and debo Wendy's situation and file a $250 million lawsuit on his own for Wendy on her behalf. Wow. Wow. It's just giving desperate. That's what it's giving. It's giving desperate. And he'll probably come out, Kevin Hunter, Wendy's ex-husband, he'll probably come out and say, Wendy didn't write that. Her guardians wrote that. She didn't write that. They wrote it. So I'm going to proceed. You know, you just never know. Because Kevin is very bullheaded. And he is somewhat of a bully from what we have seen all these decades Wendy has been married to him. He's clearly a bully because we've seen him flaunt another woman around while being taken care of by another woman, Wendy. How trifling. Anyway, move on. Here go the Diddler copycatter. Yes, he done came all the way down here to the Gulf Coast. You know I had to talk about it, family. He has came all the way down here with his ashy feet from Ukraine. Went from Ukraine to New York, from New York down here on the Gulf Coast. Oh, no, 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 no. We can show you better than we can tell you. You are getting ready to do some time and be hemmed up in that joint, okay? Yes, yes, trying to play the Diddler copycatter. That's what it was given. Came all the way to Alabama to do a Diddler's copycat. Now, family, this is what trifling Therese came to Alabama with the Diddler copycat. Criminal behavior down there in Alabama, and Alabama law enforcement hunted him down like fresh deer meat. Yes, they did. Don't come on our Gulf Coast with the Diddler behavior, because you're going to get dealt with by that law enforcement. I'm finna tell you right now. He should have stayed in Ukraine with all that criminal FO mess and behavior. Yes, but I can tell you right now, Alabama is going to make some borscht out of him. Yeah, that's their soup. Yeah, that's their soup. They soup that they have is made with beets, and then they put sour cream on top of it. Yes, he finna get done up very well. Alabama finna make him that good borscht, soup that they love in Ukraine. Yeah, it's gonna come way and stunk up the joint. As y'all see, Ukraine, all the way to Alabama, 9,136 kilometers, and it's 5,532 miles from Ukraine to Alabama. The average flight time for a non-stop flight is around 39 hours and 25 minutes. The shortest route, we ain't gonna even talk about the shortest route. I just want to show y'all how far he came to come to Alabama and stink up the joint. Yes. Now let me tell y'all about his story, family. He done brought his stinking ass down here away from Ukraine, stinking up the joint, trying to set up FOs and S traffic. So y'all will see, Ukraine refugee admits coming to the Gulf Shores to transport woman to Brooklyn brothel. What? Oh, I know he ain't down here on our beaches, family. You know? With that. Anyway, you'll see they say that the Ukraine war refugee connected to a human smuggling ring agreed amidst coming to Gulf Shores to transport a Russian woman to a Brooklyn brothel. Now, he did this in March, family, okay, of this year. He did this in March, but then they was setting up the big fish. So they was making him make phone calls and stuff like that. So, and then that's when you see the date on it, June 18th, here this week, that they done finally hemmed him up and don't know if they're going to take some of the time away from him because he got some act right and told them about this FO that's going on up there in New York City. What is going on with my hometown? Please tell me. Diddy up there doing FOs. This here, Therese, he is doing brothels and stuff with some big dog up there in New York. And he coming way down to Alabama to pick up females to take them back to New York for FOs. What? What is going on? Yes, now New Yorkers, we're going to have to get a handle on them FOs now and put a stop to it. This is trifling at its finest. This old dumpster trash done came all the way down here to the Gulf. So he's finna get dealt with. Now, this is what he did. Mobile, Alabama. That's the article that did it. Said a Ukraine refugee done came to Gulf Shores from New York to pick up a woman and take her back to New York and make her do FOs and turn her into a prostitution, basically, okay? And it seems like they have been doing this for a minute now. They probably going to different states doing this, picking up women and carrying on, okay? Now, according to the written plea agreement filed in Mobile's federal court this week, Therese will plead guilty to violating the Mann Act, which makes it a crime to transport someone across state lines for prostitution, and immoral purposes, okay? Court documents show that the Russian woman has been living in the United States since 2018 and alerted law enforcement investigators to a human, organization based in Brooklyn. What? I'm going to tell you right now, if you want to stop it, contact these law enforcements down here on the Gulf. Florida, Alabama, Texas. I don't know about Mississippi. But yeah. Because they going to get some straightening. Oh, yeah. They feet was itching, wiggling, and ready to capture this one. Once that woman went in there and told them, hey, look here. It's a man that he trying to take me back to New York to be a prostitution. And what? Where he at? What's his phone number? We're going to tap your phone and we're going to get all the information. And that's exactly what they did, family. Yes, that's exactly what they did around that joint. Y'all going to learn by coming to the Alabamas and the Gulf Shores. Talking about y'all finna snatch up some women for some prostitutions and take them up there to New York and have FOs. Is that the new thing in New York? Is that what they do for fun? Now, I know I love my New Yorkers. I know a lot of y'all saying, hell nah. But I'm just saying, a lot of these people are out of control. And it's giving New York a bad name. Because here you go, Diddy trial is already hot. Everybody knows about it. Then you have this man here who have come down to the South and tried to pick up a woman and take her back to New York for FO purposes and prostitution purposes. So not only they messing with the women in New York, probably grabbing them too, but they are branching out, traveling to different states, and then somebody, you could tell that they're not from the United States, because they should have known not to come to the South with that. Now look at you. Yes, they finna make some real good soup out here with some fresh deer meat on the side. Yes. Oh yeah, he finna be dealt with. Alabama getting ready to show this diddler copycat that he picked the wrong state to snatch up any type woman. Any woman, children, and men too. But the women and children, you will F around and find out quick. Oh yes, y'all don't know about the Ivory? The Governor Ivory with the two-piece suit on? Who sleep with a pen? Love to give you some time in the pen. Anyway, the brothel owner connected to that organization agreed to employ the woman as a prostitution and then arrange transportation for her. The organization told the woman that she should expect to have bed relations with their Taz, and that's her payment for the ride. So they told her, he coming to pick you up. And when he come pick you up, you don't have to pay him no gas money. Only thing you got to pay him is punana. Okay? Yes, that's your gas fee. Your punana. What? Anyway, so Therese, 35, arrived in Gulf Shores on March 14th. I'm still stuck on he arrived in the Gulf. I'm still stuck on he arrived in the Gulf, family. Are you serious right now? Now, we on our beaches here on the Gulf, family. And y'all know about my condo, all that stuff like that. On the beach chilling. I did not know it was a toxic crab running around that beach named Therese from the Ukrainians. Coming down here trying to snatch up women for FOs in New York. What? Okay. Now, you'll see here, law enforcement arrested him, of course. Investigators allowed him to communicate with his contact in New York. And he sent a text message reading, "She's with me," to a contact titled "Beautiful Girls $350, according to the plea agreement. Therese attorney, Jeff Dean, said his client fled the war in his home country and was living legally in the United States. Look here, dog. We care nothing about that. We don't care nothing about he fled. We don't care nothing about he is living here legally. We don't care nothing about none of that. The point is, he done bought his ashy feet ass all the way from Ukraine down here to the Alabama. Yeah, the Alabama. He done came all the way down here trying to find petitions for people up there in New York. And then said, don't worry about giving me no gas money. Your punani is the gas money. No. So we don't want to hear nothing about where he fled from. We don't feel sorry for him fleeing. No, we don't. No, we don't. We don't feel sorry for him. No, we don't. I came down here trying to pick up somebody. Down here. Why you come down to our country camp anyway? Who told them to come down here in Alabama and get an Alabama woman? Anywhere on the Gulf Coast. Who told them to come down here to Florida and get a Florida woman? Or a Mississippi woman? Or a Louisiana woman? Or a Texas woman? No, 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 no. Stay up there with that mess, okay? Because the laws are real strict around this country camp. Yes. On the Gulf Shores, anyway. Now, what's his name? Attorney keeps saying that Therese does not speak English. He speak English enough to get down here to the Alabamians, to the Gulf Coast. He speak enough English to find his way here. He know how to read signs and stuff, evidently. He didn't get lost. And it says, the best I can tell, he's a dupe in a much higher endeavor by someone else, some organization, he told the news people. They asked him to come down here and pick up someone. And he's with some other Ukrainians. Okay, so family, they're going to say, his lawyer going to say he don't know how to speak English. We gives not no damn about him not speaking English. He know how to ask for Punani and come down here for Punani and all that stuff and try to get Punani and take Punani back up to New York for Punani to be turned into petition. Okay? So we cares nothing about this man. No, we don't. And furthermore, what we don't care about is that he came down here with a couple of more Ukrainians. So that lets me know if he came down here with some more homies, it was him and two more dudes in the car. They came way from New York all the way down here on the Gulf Coast to get this here woman. Now, that lets me know that all three of them was going to try something with this here woman. All three of them was going to try to get and hit this woman. That's what it's giving to me. That's what it's giving to me. Why did it take three of y'all to come pick up this woman? Because see, when the lady told the investigators that it was some people in New York sending somebody to come get her, she was just saying sending somebody down here to come get her and take her back to New York to be in a FO ring. But then it turned out it was three guys in the car. So then y'all will see the other two men was arrested too. Okay, it was a Vlad 21 and a Vasil 42 faced conspiracy to commit human, charges in Baldwin County. They are awaiting a decision by a grand jury on whether to indict them. And then the Vasil, he had that street candy on him. So he got that charge as well. Yeah. So, yeah, they all going down. They all going down. And they're going to be out there in that hot sun on the Gulf Coast, cleaning up the highways and byways. And he might not know English now, but I tell you what song he gonna learn real quick down here in this country jail. Swing low, swing high, swing low. Oh yeah, they gonna work him. They gonna work him. If he don't know nothing else, he might as well start singing that in English and Ukraine. How you sing that in Ukraine? How do Ukrainians say that? Swing low, swing high. They cares nothing about you down here on the Gulf. No, we don't. We cares nothing about criminals like these. Corrupt behavior. And see, that's what gets me. Because a lot of these people are coming inside the United States with this criminal behavior, acting like they don't know. They coming in here, wreaking havoc. And it's given that a lot of these people, not all, some of these people are coming into this country illegally, and they got a bad type of sustain for the United States. Trying to find a way to put these, to put it, trying to put it in a pretty nice way. But a lot of these people come in here, not all, with some type of dislike for American citizens. And when they come here, they wreak havoc on the American citizens. Just because they have a deep hate for them. And they will try to be legal, try to file to be legal, but they really have a deep something inside that they do not like Americans. And they wreak havoc on them. That's what it's given. And like I said, not all, but a lot of them do. Because it's clearly we are seeing a lot of stuff that looks like is built-in dislike for American citizens. And they welcomed in here, they done came in here, and they just wreak havoc. Wreak havoc. Yeah. Just wreak havoc. And it's sad. Because American citizens are not going to their countries wreaking havoc. Make it make sense. See, people don't look at that. Like, hey, people are not coming in our country. The United States citizens are not coming to their country, tearing up the joint, wreaking havoc and all that. But they feel it's okay to come over here and do it to us. And then throw their nose at us like we beneath them. When they the ones trying to be here with us. Make it make sense. It just, I'm confused. I'm really confused. Now, did y'all know about this family? That they got trucks out here that the DMV in Florida giving out thousands of CDLs with no tests, no driver's test, no written test, giving them to illegal immigrants. That way, real American citizens don't have a chance at getting these jobs. What? I'm telling you, man. So, you have families on these interstates, because y'all know family. I'm traveling all the time. I sometimes tell y'all in the chat, hey, I'm on the road. I'm traveling. I'm going here, I'm going there, going it. I mean, that's my job. That's why I only can do this about 3 or 4 days, every 3 or 4 days. But my thing is, I'm on the road a lot. And when I saw this, I have seen where, y'all probably have too, family, where you're in the car with your family, or you in the car driving or whatever, And then you say, man, oh, that truck way over here on my side. And then you'll kind of slow down, let the truck, see what the truck gonna do. And then when it get back on its right side, you hit the gas because you trying to pass this person who may be asleep, or this person who may be drunk, or this person who may not even know how to drive. You don't know which one it is, but what you do know is you see that this truck keep coming over on the wrong side of the road, or either riding off the road and jump and try to come back on the road. I've seen that a lot here lately, which may explain why. Now that I read this, and I saw this because, you know, Florida is right here on the Gulf Coast. So we get the Gulf Coast news, and that's when we heard that Florida arrests 8 for driver's license fraud targeting illegal immigrants. Okay? 8 people have been arrested in connection to selling thousands of fraudulent driver's license to undocumented immigrants. Let that sink in, family. I'm going to get me some water. Hold on. Got me a Coca-Cola instead. But let that sink in, family. Yeah. So, as y'all will see, hundreds of CDLs sold for cash to illegal immigrants, Florida Attorney General said. They just busted them, family. Yeah, they just busted them. They just busted them. Look at this. They just busted them. I said, what? Are you serious right now? Say it ain't so. Say it ain't so. So, the CDLs, they getting them. All they got to do is go to the DMV, get them probably about $200-300, probably about $500, you know, and then they take off with a CDL that they never took a driver's test for. They never took a written test for. Hell, they don't really know nothing about the truck. Then they had companies that was in on this scheme too, truck companies. And one of them was named Cuban something. I'm going to show y'all that. But they was hiring them. Then they was picking up like independent contract deals and delivering stuff. But you got truck drivers on the road that never went through a CDL course a day. Not even one day. And they on the road with our families. And they said Florida is not the only one, because when this Florida Attorney General did the investigation, he said Philly, New York, and he named 2 other states that this ring, this fraudulent ring that they caught in Florida, is connected to all those spots. What? So that is thousands and thousands and thousands of undocumented, illegal immigrants that are on our interstates right now, driving a truck they took no test for, riding alongside us and our families. Wow. Make it make sense. Make it make sense. So, as y'all see, there has been reported commercial driver's license, those CDL scams in Florida, particularly involving the illegal sales of driver's license to undocumented immigrants without proper testing. This practice endangers public safety by putting unqualified drivers on the road. It's heartbreaking. It's heartbreaking to know that this is going on. And you will see that in exchange for the license, you know, they bypass required testing. and steps to obtain a Florida driver's license. They just go in there to the DMV, and it was 8 people arrested, and 2 or 3 of them worked at the DMV spot, and they was doing it. And they said they had been doing this for about 2 years. Yeah, for about 2 years. They have been running this scam in the DMV office in Florida. And boy, if they not going to be in trouble. But you see that one of the companies involved in this, called Cuba Max, was allegedly involved in processing immigration documents and helping individuals obtain license through this scheme. Wow. So they arrested 8. The Florida Department of Motor Vehicles employees have been arrested in connection with this scheme. Investigations are ongoing, and over $120,000 seized from like two of them. Is one black dude, and the rest of them are different type of nationalities. But they went into the black dude and this Hispanic chick house, and that's where they found the $120,000 just cash. And what they would do is these illegal immigrants would they would go to the DMV, pick up these CDL license, and then they would hit the DMV employees, a couple of them, in their cash app. They would either pay them cash or they'll send them a cash app. And then they go ahead on and get in the trucks, and they got them a CDL. Wow. And all these American citizens who've been here all their life, centuries and decades, can't find jobs, and you wonder why. And everybody is saying, oh, it ain't that hard to find jobs. Look at some of these immigrants. They working. Look how they working, though. Bypassing the system. When we have to go through the system the proper way. We have to take our driver's test the proper way. We have to take our CDL test the proper way. They just drop by $400-500 and they get theirs. No tests, no worries, no driver's test, no written test, no nothing. Wow. Wow. Can you imagine being on the road? Can you imagine your family traveling on the road? And there is thousands and thousands of truck drivers out here who are undocumented, illegal citizens, driving a 800-ton vehicle and haven't took not one test. And they are operating that vehicle and passing your car, your loved one's car, going off the side of the road, coming back on the road, getting too close to your lane, jumping back over. Now, I'm starting to say, you know, because I've seen it a lot here lately. I ain't lying. It has gotten to the point where, because we travel so much, I'm like, hey, y'all, every time we coming up on the truck, I'm like, y'all already know the routine. Scope out this truck first before we pass it or stay behind it. And stay a distance behind it. Because we have known it's a trend here lately where truck drivers are all over the place. And now it ain't the ones who got real CDLs. It's the ones who don't have CDLs for real and just paid for the CDL. And can't really handle that 18-wheeler. They going off for damn near prayer. Wow, if that ain't dangerous. Wow. Move on. The diddler. Diddy. Now, y'all know that they didn't have court. They didn't have court at all Wednesday or Thursday. Wednesday, they say one of the jurors was sick. So they canceled court. And then the Juneteenth, they didn't have court. So yesterday, Friday, they had court. And in court, Diddy homie bust up in the joint. The supplier, who was giggling and snitting with KK about how high Diddy was. And how high he be. But anyway, he got up on the stand and he started talking. But let me just say this right quick. Okay? That they did show in the courtroom some photos yesterday, Friday. And Fridays, I'm talking about Friday because we already did Monday and Tuesday review. And then Wednesday and Thursday, they didn't have anything. So this right here, we're talking about what happened Friday, yesterday. So they did show pictures of Diddy surroundings in his house where it was some pow-pows and, you know, all that street candy, baby oil and all that stuff. Okay, so they showed the jury that. And they've showed the jury that before. And anyway, this was a special agent named Joseph. He was on the stand. And he was telling the jury about a chart. And he was reviewing this chart. And it's an evidence chart, basically, okay, that he put together and the prosecution put together to show all these different people that was involved in Diddy's ring, okay? So y'all know how when you watch some movies sometimes that they'll show the detective room, and the detective room will have a big old chalkboard up there, and they will have different people pictures pinned with a thumbnail, and they will have about 15 different people pictures stuck on that board that's involved in this ring, and then they will tell you what each one did and who's the connection and who's the big fish and who's the lower fish and who they need to go after and who they have went after and all that stuff. Well, that's what this here person was doing in court yesterday. He was showing the jury kind of a chart of evidence, you know, of all that. And so he showed exhibits with include thousands of pages of text messages and well as phones and financial records, okay? So he was kind of basically showing them the chart and putting everything together in an easy perspective for the jury to understand how Diddy's so-called organization was working and who was what and this is what they did and this person was in charge of that and this is that, okay? So he said 44 entries on the chart range from May 2021 to August 2024, and the only woman's name on the chart is Jane, one of the accusers in this case. He said before accuser Cassie lawsuit was filed, most of the locations were hotels. After Cassie's lawsuit was filed, none of them were at hotels, talking about the FOs. So what he's saying is he was telling the jury and showing them that chart and showing how they was flying here, going there, and escorts, P-tuitions, was going to this state, that state, being involved in FOs with Diddy and all that stuff like that. He was saying all of these here flights and a lot of this traveling was going on before Cassie's lawsuit. And when Cassie dropped the lawsuit, all of a sudden, all the traveling stopped. Everybody laid low. Okay? That's what he was basically saying. And Shichello, that's the person who was the agent who was on the stand talking and showing the chart. He said there were 3 of these events after Cohn posted an Instagram video on May 19th, 2024. Y'all remember what that video was. That was when he did the apology about what he did to Cassie in that hotel. When we all saw it and the video came all over CNN and we all watched it. And then Diddy came out on his own video and was like, you know, y'all, I'm so sorry. I don't know what got into me, but I done got help for the situation. And I'm disappointed in myself. When he did that video right there, so-called apologizing, but he never apologized to Cassie. But he just told us what went down and how sorry he is for that. And what this agent is saying is that right after Diddy did that video, he did a FO. So he wasn't too sorry. He did about 3 more FOs after that. Okay? Yes. So that's what he was talking about there. And then the jury saw records for a trip in December 2021. The chart shows flight records for flights to Miami for Jane and an entertainer called Sly. She was all over the place. Yes. Then the hotel records also show that it was $6,000 worth of damages in that hotel, in that Regis Harbor hotel. And that the chart also referenced text messages between Jane and Sly coordinating his arrival in Miami. So it was showing all that stuff. But they tore up the room so bad till they had to pay $6,000. That's why didn't nobody like Diddy coming to their hotel, because he stunk up the joint. He always tore up their stuff, or either stained it so bad till they couldn't even use that same couch or that same, end table or whatever. They had to buy new equipment and new furniture and new sheets and all that, Unbelievable for grown-ass people to tear up somebody. See, that's when you know you are beside yourself and your money has made you beside yourself, because you feel like everybody else's property ain't shit, just yours. Because you notice Diddy wasn't having them at his house because he don't want oil and stuff staining his furniture that he paid money for. Oh no, y'all ain't finna mess up mine. No, we finna go over here and mess up theirs. And we gonna mess up $6,000 worth of their stuff, $10,000 worth of their stuff, and all that. Then I go back home to my nice stuff. See, that show you how some people with money feel like everybody is beneath them. That everybody's property ain't worth nothing. That's selfish, low down, and evil. You're not worried about tearing up somebody else's stuff, long as it's not yours. You think they stuff ain't worth nothing anyway. But then when those 6,000 and 10,000 bills come in, that, hey, y'all got to pay for this, $10,000. And then they won't let you back in. Now y'all looking crazy and y'all trying to find other people's name to put the hotel in so that the hotel don't know it's Diddy. Because Frank Black had got old. Every time the hotel saw Frank Black, they was like, oh no, he ain't gonna be, no, we're not gonna be able to accommodate him. Or he gonna have to give us about a $5,000 deposit. Or a $2,000 deposit. Because we already know he's gonna tear up some. But anyway, here go Diddy's supplier. Yes, who got arrested with Diddy. Diddy didn't get arrested. But him and Diddy was getting ready to get on Diddy's private jet. And then they arrested him because he had that street candy on him. And so he got arrested. Yes, Diddy's boy. But see, I thought he was just Diddy's supplier. Well, he says here he was supplying as well as being Diddy's personal assistant. What? Anyway, family. Yeah, anyway. As y'all see here, Sean Diddy Combs' trial former assistant testified he was directed to buy thousands of that street candy. He was directed, but he's a supplier as well. Make it make sense. How you gonna be a supplier and then say I was directed to give, to get the stuff from him? That's what you do anyway. Allegedly, that's what it's been saying. They were saying he was a drug mule. I mean, which one is it? Anyway, babyface drug mule testifies. Okay. Now, this is what he said. He said, Brandon Paul testified he first heard about the opportunity to be Sean Diddy Combs' personal assistant from Eli. Okay. So he heard that Diddy was hiring through Eli Moran, but we just gonna call him Eli, one of Combs' former assistants. So y'all see how I noticed that. Y'all see how when an assistant quit or when Diddy fires an assistant, that assistant will hook somebody else up by telling them, hey, this job is open. And you talking about some free money because he stay high. He stay high. Now, you're going to be worked to death, but, hey, it's free money because he stay high, basically. All you got to do is clean rooms and stuff like that, and you will get it. Hey, you'll be able to get a lot of money, and you can split it with me because I put you on. See, they was using. Yeah, they had traps for Diddy. And he didn't even realize it because he stayed zooted most of the time. Anyway, so one of Diddy's old assistants put Brandon, the supplier, on till the job was open. So he told me to get in, to get out. If you have a girlfriend, break up with her. And you are never going to see your family, Paul testified. He said he understood Eli, I'm going to say Eli because that's his name, was telling him that it was going to be a really tremendous job, to be working for Diddy. And so you have to understand that Diddy demanded people to be beck and call 24/7, basically. So what people was telling each other who would get the job, hey, that they got a job opening because I left. That job is open, see if you can get it. But I'm telling you now, you're going to stay up like 24/7, whatever, but it's good money, So then they'll go and apply for it, and most of them will get it. And they would just recycle that, keep their friends informed and in the loop. So it stay into that friend circle of getting the job. Okay? So Paul said he interviewed for the position in the fall of 2022 at Combs' Los Angeles home. Before entering the home, he said he gave his ID to Combs security and signed a non-disclosure agreement. And he then met with KK, Combs' former chief of staff, and Frankie, Combs' music manager, for about 20 minutes. Paul said he started working for Combs a few days later. Wow. Then you'll see here, Paul said his heart dropped when agents discovered cocaine in his travel bag. So he was like, he didn't know he had it in his bag, is what he said. Paul confirmed his arrest was for a small amount of cocaine for Combs' personal use that Paul had accidentally left in his travel bag. Neither Combs nor KK asked him to travel with the cocaine, Paul testified. Paul recalled telling law enforcement that everything in the bag was his, and then his heart dropped when the agent pulled the cocaine out of the bag because he didn't mean to travel with it. He said, basically, family, that he was sweeping the floor, and when he was sweeping the floor, it was some cocaine on the floor, and that he picked the cocaine up and just threw it in his bag while he swept the floor. Then when they got ready to go on this travel trip, because Diddy was going to the Bahamas with his family for a vacation, and Diddy was taking KK with him and the dealer with him, okay, Paul. But before the plane can take off, the agents came and searched, and the cocaine was in Paul's travel bag. And Paul said, I really didn't mean to have that in there. That it just got in there because I was sweeping the floor, and I put it in there, and then I took off and had it and didn't realize that I had it in there. I forgot to take it out of the travel bag. That's the excuse he used. That excuse sounds suspect as hell. Yes, it do, family. It sounds suspect. Something about that story that just don't sit right with me. I'm sorry. It really doesn't. But anyway, so Brian Steele said, so you not a street candy mule. And he said, absolutely not. So he's saying he not a street candy mule. That's what he told Diddy's lawyer, okay, Brian Steele. And then Paul said that he believed the street candy he obtained were just for Combs' personal use, okay? But if you didn't know it was in there, how you know it was for Combs' personal use? I'm just saying. Combs' ex-assistant said handling that street candy was only a minor part of his work. So he said he did personal assistant work for Combs too. And you know, this is the one that was kikiing and laughing with KK when Diddy be stoned out. Okay. Now, Brian Steele also asked Paul during cross-examination, asking him about his background. Steele mentioned that Paul walked on to the Syracuse University basketball team because Paul played basketball for a university. And he said, yes, I did. He said he liked playing basketball for the university. And then he started working for Diddy. Okay, Paul confirmed that handling that street candy was a minor part of all the work he did for Combs. You were not some, drug mule, whatever. He said no. Now, he also said that he spoke with Jane, one of Combs' accuser. Y'all know that allegedly 50 Cent said that's his baby mama. But anyway, Paul said that he often spoke with Jane. And he often spoke to her before Wild King nights. Okay? Almost every time. Afterwards, he confirmed that he never saw anything that made him think she was hesitant or not a willing participant. Okay. He also said the jury saw a selfie of Combs, his former chief of staff, KK, and his former assistant, Paul, on a private jet taken on March 25th, 2024, before Paul was arrested for cocaine possession in the Miami airport. Okay, they were about to take off on the flight, and then those agents came and bust them up. Okay, and then that's when they found that stuff on old boy. And so they said, why didn't you tell them that that was Diddy stuff? And he said, because of loyalty. You see right here, he said, I was loyal. I'm sorry. And so Paul testified that the charges against him related to the incident were dropped because I have a really good lawyer. No, it wasn't. Come on, boy. Stop playing in our face. Now, see, they were so used to playing in Diddy's face because Diddy was high. Till he's sitting up there on the stand trying to play in our face like we high. We ain't high, dog. We already know why you got your case dropped, okay? Because where you sitting at right now, on the stand testifying against Diddy. Come on now. Then they said that they had you go into a lot of rehab classes as well to make sure that they got you straight so that they ain't fooling with a junkie head, okay? So the prosecutor made sure they got you clean and all that. And then you had to testify against Diddy and your case is dropped. So you went through the steps to get it dropped. Come on now. Don't play with us. Anyway, he's completed over 20 drug classes and submitted random drug tests. I'll wait. What it say he did, family? Yeah. See, I hate for people to play with our intelligence. I really do hate for people to play with our intelligence. Because he said that they dropped his case because he had a good lawyer. Yeah, you probably did have a good lawyer. But that's not why they dropped the case, bruh. See, your good lawyer would have had to go to court and fight that case of you having that cocaine. And you probably have a good lawyer, but your lawyer didn't have to do all that fighting because you went on ahead and made that deal to take 20 classes and then testify against Diddy. But, you know, I could be wrong. But anyway, y'all see what he said he had to do. And then it says, he said he attended Wild King nights about 4 or 3 times, but he never was in the hotel room. You know, he was somewhere else. He would drop Diddy off and stuff like that, and he would go somewhere else, but he wasn't never a part of it. But he said he always came back to clean up the room, which was always in disarray. And he would put towels and sheets into a pile and throw out empty bottles of baby oil and liquor. Paul said he wore gloves during the cleanup for sanitary reasons. One time Paul saw a white powder that he believed was that sugar booger. He testified. And the jury saw pictures of all that right there. He said that he took photos of the disarray rooms and stuff like that, and he would send it to Combs' traveling manager to give her a heads up that there might be some type of damage charge, meaning that, hey, look, this is how this room look. I done cleaned it up and all that stuff, but I'm telling you right now, a lot of this stuff is like permanent damage, so y'all most likely gonna get a bill that's going to be high, okay? So that's what he said he did. So see, him taking a lot of pictures of the room and all that stuff like that, no. Former assistant described how he would set up a room for Combs before Wild King nights. So basically, he said he made sure that Diddy had a lot of alcohol, baby oil, toiletries, extra sheets and towels and all that stuff, okay? He did the same thing all the rest of them did. But not only was he Diddy's personal assistant, he was also the street candy man. Okay, so yeah. So Paul was he was doubling up. He was doubling up because Diddy was paying him to be his personal assistant, and then Diddy would have to pay him when he go get the sugar booger and the candy. Yeah. So he was doubling up. Paul said he once provided Combs with $5,000 cash before a Wild Kings night. He said he got the cash from security. He testified that another assistant told him he once left cash in the, I think I continued it over here. Once left cash in an envelope at the front desk of the hotel. So what he's saying on the stand is that he did when Diddy needed money, he had it on him. And he would give it to Diddy. And he said one time Diddy needed $5,000. And he gave Diddy the $5,000. And then Diddy's security gave him the $5,000 back. Or either Diddy's manager, financial manager, whatever, will put the $5,000 in an envelope and tell Paul to go to the front hotel desk and pick it up. My thing is, why Diddy ain't got $5,000? Because they said one time that Diddy he'll carry about $10,000 in a fanny pack. So which one is it? He don't carry the $10,000 in the fanny pack, in the Gucci bag or whatever? Because in some people's testimony, they said, oh, he kept that street candy in this bag, pills in that bag, and then about 10 grand in this bag. Now, Paul is saying, sometimes Diddy have to ask him for $5,000. And because Diddy ain't got nothing on him. And so he'll give Diddy the $5,000, and then he'll get reimbursed by Diddy's security team or Diddy's financial manager. What? I'm confused. Unless Diddy ran through 10 grand and then he need 5 more grand. That would make sense if Paul said it that way. Yeah. I smell a lot of skunk meat around here. Then Paul said Combs would sometimes contact him during a Wild King night by the audio message or FaceTime. And the jury saw pictures of that as well. Okay. Then he said, Paul said that Diddy, former chief of staff KK, didn't really want him involved in Wild King nights for some reason, but he set up and cleaned up a few times while he worked for Combs. KK called them Wild King nights, Paul said. Whatever. And I find it quite strange that he said for some reason KK didn't want him involved in Wild King nights, okay? Almost like she's trying to keep his nose clean. That's what it's given to me. He would take Diddy, set up the room, and then jet. Because that's how KK wanted him to do. Then he would come back when it's time to clean it up. But she didn't want Paul nowhere around Wild King nights. Why? Because if something happened, Paul don't get busted. So it's protecting Paul too. Because see, all of them were dibbling dabbling with each other, according to the testimony. Yeah, now. So it's given, it was some dibbling dabbling here too. And Paul testified that he understood that Wild King nights is including parties, alcohol, that bed relation stuff, and that street candy. Anyway. His assistant testified that he saw Combs use street candy, including cocaine, K-mine, that X, marijuana, about once a month. But there were other times he seemed high. Yeah, because y'all gave it to him, most likely. Now, you didn't see him, but you know he took that street candy bag, that Gucci bag or whatever bag it was in. Yeah, I seen him take that. So, yeah, you know he was. The jury saw photos that Paul took earlier in his employment of X, of a powder formed of K-mine and Molly that was dried pink. So, see, my thing is, family, you see how they say the jurors saw pictures and photos of Paul, what Paul took. So, Paul is around there taking pictures of the street candy. Why is that? Why are you taking pictures of the street candy? You supplied it, so why are you taking pictures of the street candy in Diddy's house? See, family, that's what I'm talking about. Diddy was so high, he didn't know what was going on. because he the one that went to go pick up all this stuff, okay? Now, when he picked up all this stuff, why he didn't take a picture of it in his car? Why he didn't take a picture of it when he first got it? Why did he wait till he get to Diddy house and take pictures of it? See, that's when you have the blackmail over people. The way Diddy allegedly was having blackmail FOs on people. Then you got the dealer taking pictures of his supply in Diddy's house. Why are you taking pictures? What was the street candy doing? Getting up doing dances and stuff? Or you were just taking a picture to show how much is there in Diddy's house? Because they clearly looking at the pictures now on the jury. So what was the purpose of taking the pictures? Was those blackmail pictures too that you never showed Diddy? You just kept them in your back pocket in case in a time like this, and at a time you get busted like you did getting ready to get on that airplane, and then you could break out all these pictures and say, hey, look here, I'm willing to tell y'all everything. If you just let me go, look at all this right here. Was that the case? I'm just asking a question. I'm just asking a question, that's all. But anyway, Brandon Paul, he testified. Okay, we said that he saw Diddy using that street candy. The jury saw messages between Paul, a street candy dealer, and another Comb assistant, Jonathan Perez. They getting in contact with each other, talking about they need that good for Diddy. Okay? And then said the dealer asked Paul, say, hey, you sure been getting a whole lot of this street candy. Said, is it for you? And then he said, is it for you or Puff? The dealer asked in a message to Paul, right? And then he said, Puff, Paul said, according to the message read aloud in court. But please don't disclose that that is for Puff. Whoever you tell it to, say it's for me. Don't say it's for Puff, but it is for Puff. Paul said once he received the street candy. So you see how they were playing in Diddy's back? Playing all behind his back. Paul testified he would pick up prescription, for Combs at pharmacies under Combs' real name or under his alias, Frank Black. Wow. And the jury saw a message between Combs and Paul on February the 14th, 2024, asking him to get that X. Okay? Combs wanted his assistants to operate like SEAL team. So he told the jury, Paul, who was standing up there and sitting at the stand spilling all type of Kool-Aid, okay? He said that Diddy wanted his team to operate like SEAL 6. Yes, he said Paul testified that his mission was to make sure Diddy was always happy. He said that Combs told his assistants they should operate like SEAL Team 6. Yes, but evidently they operated like SEAL Team Snitch. Because, honey, they done told everything up on that stand. Yes, they did. So, Diddy, you had the wrong operation, brother. Because they clearly turned into SEAL Team Snitch. Not 6. So, anyway, Paul and Combs fired. Paul said that Combs fired him 2 or 3 times. And he testified about one incident that sticks out in his memory. Late October on early November 2023, Paul testified that he forgot Combs' Lululemon fanny pack when he wanted to go for a walk. Then Combs told Paul, I don't want to see you again. You fired. basically, and tell KK you fired. Yes, because you forgot my bag with all my street candy in it. While we on this walk, I wanted to take some of it, and you ain't got it, so you fired. So Diddy must want it real bad. He fired that man right there on the spot. But anyway, Diddy wanted his team to be this right here: SEAL Team 6, officially known as Navy Special Warfare Development Group, a highly secretive and elite U.S. Navy SEAL unit. So that's what Diddy said he wanted. He told his team that's who he wanted them to be. So he said when he forgot Diddy's Lululemon bag, that Diddy told him to take a walk and to call KK and tell her you fired. Okay? And then he said it wasn't long after that KK told him to lay low. Soon after, she sent Paul to set up a Combs London hotel room for a FO on his birthday that year. And he said Combs never came back to him and said nothing about the incident of him forgetting his bag. He said he laid low. Then KK called him back and said, you come on back to work. He's straight. He ain't gonna remember no way. And so he came on back to work. Then he said that his starting salary was $75,000 a year. He testified. And he later got a raise of $100,000 a year. He testified. He was paid by Combs Enterprise. So you see how he was paid by Combs Enterprise. And he was getting paid for being an assistant and a dealer. That's how they turn this thing into racketeering of an enterprise. Paul said he traveled frequently for work. He flew with Combs on his private jet 3 or 4 times, but he said he usually traveled separately so he could get there early to set up his room. So when he walked in, everything was seamless and he had everything he needed. So, you see how he's saying that Diddy paid for his flights to go set up FO rooms, traveling him to different states and cities for FOs to take care of FO rooms and stuff and clean them up and all that stuff. That's personal. So see how I say they were mixing that stuff. But anyway, I was trying to find. He said that sometimes he went about 3 days. Although he took some naps in between, I was young, so I was able to handle it, he said. So he was saying that, Diddy kept him up for about 2-3 days sometime. But he said he'll take a nap in between, but he said because he was young, he was able to handle it. And Paul testified that he took prescriptions, Adderall, to keep him up. And he rarely used the cocaine to make him stay awake and alert during his employment. That's what he said. He also said he smoked some of that grass. Okay. So like I said, he said that he was on his way to a family vacation with Combs when he was arrested for that possession of cocaine. Okay. And he said after that, he no longer worked for Diddy. The day he got arrested is the day his pay stopped. Okay? So, that Paul said he was sweeping Combs' room and grabbed that cocaine to put it somewhere else, but forgot to remove it from his own bag before leaving for the trip, and that's when he got busted. Okay? Now, you'll see here, Brandon details the arrest of, when him and Diddy and KK was getting ready to get on a private jet. He detailed on how he got busted with the cocaine, but the cocaine wasn't his. It was for Diddy. and he said that he had 0.7 grams. He said that not only did he have that 0.7 grams, that when they caught him, they asked him, "Is this yours?" And he just said, "Yeah, everything in that bag is mine," even though he knew it was Diddy's. Okay? And then still, Diddy's lawyer, he was like, "So it was a mistake, right?" And then Paul responded, "Correct." He explained that neither KK nor Combs had any idea that he had that cocaine in his bag that day. He had just forgot, basically. Okay? That's what he said. Now, I'm going to tell you right now, this whole thing stinks to high sky, family. It really do. It stinks to high sky. I'm sorry, I have to say it. It stinks to high sky. If I was Diddy, it's given that these two right here plotted behind Diddy's back. That's what it's given to me. And if you think about it, when Diddy fired him, she called him right back a couple of weeks later, said, "Go on and set up another freak off. It'll be all right." Like, they ain't even studying Diddy. Because he said Diddy didn't say nothing to him when Diddy saw him, come back to work. Diddy didn't say nothing to him. So Diddy just, I guess, assumed that KK let him back. So it was like KK was running the joint. But it's given that these two plotted. Because if you notice, he had a lot of pictures and he was taking a lot of pictures. For what reason? Throughout. We just read that he said he took pictures of all the drugs, all that stuff that was in Diddy's house that he bought to Diddy's house. He started taking pictures of it. Then you got her laughing with him. How high is he? Is he lit? Gucci lit. All that. And then she running the joint. So it's given clean setup to me. My opinion. I'm sorry. That's my opinion. Now, they did put out People's Magazine, People's article. They did put out that they had information that Diddy will not be testifying in his own trial. Okay? Don't know how true it is. This is just what they say. And they say multiple sources confirm two people that Combs will not take the stand in his own defense. Okay? And sometimes they say it might be best that he don't, because they said that Diddy has more than 60 civil cases still pending against him. It's risky, that the legal analyst said, that it's risky for Combs to get up there and testify. And then he got 60 other cases pending on him for lawsuits. Because then they'll use some of what he said on the stand, and that might cause him to lose a couple of those 60 lawsuits. Okay? So by him staying hush mouth might be the best thing, is what they're saying. Okay? So we don't know if he's going to testify or not. But you do see that victim number 3 never showed up to this trial, which she was supposed to show up to this trial. They said victim number 3 is known as Gina, named Gina. Okay, never showed up. The prosecution said they couldn't contact her. The lawyer's not answering their calls and none of that. Okay, so then you had a victim number 5 that also was supposed to testify, and the prosecution is not using that person either, and that person is not expected to take the stand. So you had 2 people that were supposed to take the stand, didn't take the stand. Okay, it's most likely why they're trying to close early. Now let's talk about KK right quick, because you notice that KK, because I'm going 2 hours, almost 2 hours, 2 hours and 30 minutes. But anyway, y'all will see that KK is accused with Combs in 3 other lawsuits for aiding and abetting Combs on That right there. And a lot of other things. Okay. So KK is just wrapped all in it. Now, they says on New York Post, they said, meet Sean Diddy Combs, manipulator in chief. So they call her a manipulator in chief. And they said that they compare her to Ghislaine Maxwell. Epstein's girl. Yeah, they say they compare her to Epstein's girl. And her name comes up a whole lot. Yes, it does. It's given, like I said before, handler, madam, all in one. And she helped Diddy stink up the joint. But she don't care because it ain't her business any damn way. And I wonder how much she getting paid now. Because a lot of people was asking that question. How much was she getting paid? And is she still getting paid now? Because I find it quite strange that Jane is getting $10,000 a month right today. So if Jane is getting $10,000 a month right today, is KK getting $10,000 a month right today or more? I'm just asking a question. And because when I tried to ask what was she making while she was working for Diddy, it's almost like it's scrubbed. They don't want to mention it. But you notice how they mention everybody else's pay. This person said they was making $75,000 a year. This person said they was making $100,000 a year. Everybody else's pay is disclosed. But when you ask how much KK was making with Diddy, it's private. So as y'all will see, while information about KK role as chief of staff in Sean Diddy Combs' business, it's reported that nobody can really exactly say what she was making. It has not been public. And they say usually executives' pay is private. And I call cap and BS. Because we even know how much Diddy was making. That's the chief right there. But they can put how much he made out. But they can't put how much KK made. Why is KK salary so private? See, that's another thing that lets you know she's running Diddy's business. Because his business is out there about how much he was making. Hers not. Why is that? Because you see right here, Diddy reportedly made around $60 million annually from his partnership with Ciroc. Report said. This partnership established in 2007, and they had a 50-50 partnership. Yes, they had a 50-50 partnership. So Diddy made good money with Ciroc. But they told his income. Now, this is the message that I'm just saying. I want to just say this real quick and then I close out. In the message that Paul keeps KK informed as he escorts Combs to Jane's house. Remember, we talked about this in the last video. When KK and Paul, who is on the stand now, was kiki and ha-haing about how high Diddy was. Remember? KK said, LOL, okay, so basically he lit. Paul respond, LOL, isn't lit? Later, Paul texts her, PD active now, running to Walmart's now. KK says, Wild King mode. Is he Gucci high? Or this type of high? Then they laughing, kiki. And Paul responds, in between the two, if you know what I mean. If it makes sense. So that means Diddy was playing in both bags with different street candies in it, okay? But my thing is that, you know, I cares nothing about Diddy. Diddy is, you know, Diddy always been trifling. Like we said, we all are me and Diddy and them is in the same age bracket. I lived in New York. I heard the rumors. You just could never pinpoint it. But after you listen to a lot of testimony in court, what was being said about 30 years ago, it seems like it's true. You know? But the thing is, this KK. This KK. That's the thing. This thing is KK. You know? Because I'm like this. If I was Miss Combs, KK would have to come up out that joint. And she already up out that joint. She already left when I think Diddy got arrested or whatever like that. Or when the feds came and knocking on her door. She's no longer with Combs. But if I was Miss Janice Combs, I would hire an outside investigator to make sure KK has not changed important papers regarding Diddy's business. Because Diddy was obvious too high to know. Now, he's probably done cleaned out and detoxed out by now because he's been sitting in jail for a minute. But the thing is, he's not out. But if I was his mom, I'd be making some major moves to double check all his paperwork. I would double check KK dealings with Diddy's company and his money. Because KK smelled like skunk meat at his finest. KK had a lot of control over Diddy while Diddy was high, and Diddy was high for a lot of years. Is his insurance policy still intact? What is his business endeavors looking like? Was it changed, flipped? Somebody flipped the script? What is KK getting out of this deal? What did she get out the deal? Why is KK... Okay, I put it this way. What is she getting if Diddy go to prison for long term? What will she get? Because, see, I'm looking at now that Jane is still being paid $10,000 a month. I don't think Diddy mama knew that. I don't think Diddy knew that. Because they said Diddy was looking pretty funny on that stand. But you mind y'all, they say he can't make no facial expressions and all that stuff no more. He gonna get thrown out the courtroom. But my thing is, she was still getting $10,000 a month. Jane was. So how much is KK? And Jane not even with Diddy and testifying against Diddy. And she's still getting that money right today. So KK is no longer with Diddy either. So is KK getting a big lump every month too? That's what it's given to me. Somebody need to check. Yes. Yeah. What her exit papers look like? What did she draw up for her own exit papers? Do she get paid for life? I'm just asking a question. Because, see, when your right-hand man or your right-hand girl sit up there and they laugh that you are a junkhead, that's a red flag within itself. And your company is most likely in danger like hell. But because you want so much of, hey, I want 15 Mollies. Hey, I want some CK. Hey, I want some K-Mine. Hey, I want some grass. Hey. Because you so zooted out. I don't even believe he know. But he knew how to keep the money from his artists. And then somebody else dunk him out his money. I'm going to tell you. If you got a right-hand man or a right-hand girl who's supposed to be your chief of staff, and they laughing behind your back about how much of an alcoholic or drug head you is, that's a big red flag. And your company need a deep dive audit to catch that right-hand snake. Because it's giving right-hand snake at his finest. Yeah. And Diddy mother, I know she old, but she better get on her business game and hire an outside independent investigator to deep dive into this man's stuff. And who says that Diddy gonna get to keep it? Because sometimes if you're found guilty, and the feds get you for racketeering and you use the workplace and all that stuff, sometimes that'll get seized and snatched from you. You just never know. But in the meantime, I still would do a deep dive audit and see what all KK got going on and tangled up with in her son's and Janet's son's business. Because it smells like skunk meat, I'm going to tell you. Most likely that right-hand man has a stack of millions put up for themselves right out from under Diddy's nose. Most likely that right-hand man, that right-hand woman, or whatever, the way Diddy was, zooted out, stayed out, most likely that right-hand man put up and stacked up millions right out from under his nose. Being snaked badly. Yeah, because it shows that Diddy basically became dependent on KK. How you become dependent on somebody you hired? And they start calling the shots, running the business, and giving you money. What? Well, it's given. The way KK was running Diddy business, it was given a male Wendy Williams having a guardian. I'm sorry. I'm just going to go ahead on and say it. It was given KK was Diddy's guardian for a junkhead. And I hate to keep saying that, but if you listen to the testimony, as much as they say Diddy was taken, I'm surprised Diddy is still here to see another day. And I think that prison was the best thing or that jail was the best thing that happened to him, because he got a chance to detox. But he's still trifling as ever. Yeah. That's all I got to say about that, my opinion. That's all I got to say about that. I want to give a special thanks to everybody who donated to the channel. Thank you so much to Shanita Lander. Thank you so much, Shanita Lander. Thank you so much for your awesome donation. It's greatly, greatly appreciated. We sending love and hugs to you. Jim C., thank you so much for your generous donation. It's greatly appreciated. Cooking with Frank, thank you so much for your generous donation. It's greatly, greatly appreciated. Darlene Chestnut, thank you so much for your generous donation. Y'all generosity is greatly appreciated. Thank y'all so much for the donation to the channel. Thank you for showing me so much love. I appreciate it. It is greatly appreciated, okay? Sending love to you all. Sending love to our awesome moderators, to our chat, to our replay gang, to our comment section, to y'all all. And don't forget to hit the subscribe button, hit the like button. Appreciate that. Sending love and hugs to you all. Gain knowledge to prevent blockage. And we all know what that means. The more you know, the harder it is for anybody to block y'all from your goals and success. Bye-bye.